Hey, what's up? This is Kevin from Kevin's BBQ Joints, and I'm really excited to bring this interview with Nick Mangold. He's from 74 BBQ, a barbecue sauce company, but in his past life, he was a New York Jets football player, a center. He was nominated to 7 Pro Bowls. So at the beginning of this interview, we talk about that life, what it was like to be drafted and play, and then subsequently retire, and what that was mentally for him, and then how he made his transition into selling barbecue sauce. Currently, he has 2 of his barbecue sauces, and this is a barbecue sauce that is something he made from scratch and something that he would serve at home a lot. He actually wrote down the ingredients because he wanted to develop the perfect barbecue sauce for his family, and then it turned out to be a business. Currently, he has 2 sauces. If you're on the YouTube side, you can see this one is the OG barbecue sauce, which is sweet with a little heat. The second one is the OG spicy barbecue sauce. It's a little sweet with a whole lot of heat. And I've kept these sealed because he talks about that these are collector's items. I have a second set that I've opened. They are wonderful. He has 4 children, and they're all connected to his children, each specific one. So he gets into that, and he's such a nice guy. He's really interesting. He's really passionate, and how he got into barbecue is interesting as well. And really importantly, a portion of the proceeds go to Answer the Call Foundation, which is a foundation that helps the families of fallen first responders in New York City. For either New York Police Department, the Fire Department, Port Authority, helps them out. And he's really passionate. He's been with them for a long time, so a portion of the proceeds go towards that. I can't thank Nick enough for taking the time. I think you're going to find this really interesting, and I'll have links below on how to purchase the sauce, because right now it's not nationwide. It's nationwide on the internet, but that's global, and then it's tucked away in a number of New England places right now, but you'll eventually be able to get it nationwide. And the Kevin's BBQ Joints podcast and YouTube show is brought to you by Centex Smokers. They're based out of Luling, Texas. They're at Centex_smokers on Instagram. Michael Johnson, he's been doing this since he was a kid, welding since he was a kid, and now he's building amazing pits. So if you go to his Instagram and check it out and follow him, you'll see that amazing, beautiful pits, beautiful craftsmanship, amazing finishes, things that I've never seen before too. Things that are kind of like works of art or museum pieces. So check him out again at Centex_smokers. It's about 4 to 5 months out, and I have a website at kevinsbbqjoints.com. Links on my podcast, YouTube stuff, as well as I work on all these lists, but I have a list recently that I reached out to barbecue joints to find out what they would recommend a first-timer order. That would help a first-timer as well as help someone who has been there before but might not know something special on the menu that the owner wants to highlight. So I have over 165 or 170 so far, and I'm getting more in every day, and so hopefully that would be a nice resource. But I have a bunch of other stuff, and I'm just trying my best to be a good resource for you. But at the end, stay safe. Thank you for listening. You'll enjoy this one with Nick. Good afternoon, good morning for me, but good afternoon. How you doing?
Good. How's it going?
It's going well.
I got kids running all over the place, so TBD.
We'll see what happens. But you have 4 kids, right?
Yes.
How was that?
It's organized chaos. That's the best way we can put it.
What are the ages?
What do I got? I got 10, 6, 4, and 2.
Wow, that's all the different. That's and imagine too, as those ages increase, what that's going to be like. Well, yeah. Well, at least you're not like in the NFL at the time when it'll be good because you could share those experiences and be with them.
Right. It is nice. I'm catching them. I was able to spend time with them as they're young, which is pretty awesome.
So I want to talk about the sauce because I'm very excited and I'm interested because you have additional sauces coming out. But Was NFL a passion? Like, was that something as a child that you wanted to do, or did you want to go into baseball or other sports? Or
no, I mean, obviously, football was always like NFL was always something like, oh, that'd be really cool, but you never really thought it would happen. Growing up, I played one sport a season, so that was my mom's rule. We had to play. We always had to be active. So football in the fall, basketball, wrestling in the winter, baseball in the spring, which transitioned to track, and then swimming in the summer, and so that kind of kept me busy enough and never really thought about professional sports. Didn't really creep in until somewhere about midway through college that NFL might be a possibility.
You went to The Ohio State, right?
The Ohio State University.
Can you explain why? Like, I think I asked a friend one time a long time ago. Is there another Ohio State, or is it just they want to be?
No, I think it's just kind of there's so many colleges and universities in Ohio that it was more of a thing to distinguish it, and that we were the ultimate Ohio university college. So just the emphasis was there.
Yeah, no, I love watching Monday Night Football or watching it and having the guys say the Ohio State, and then after a while I'm like, what is going on? Like, this seems because coming from California, Los Angeles, football. I lived in Texas for a year and I realized football is different in other parts of the country than it is here, and it's sad because, and I love sports and I love watching and I love playing, but it's different. There's like a whole, it's a whole different ballgame completely.
Oh, it is. Like even up in the East Coast, like college football in the East Coast really isn't a thing,
True.
which is weird. Like
Yeah.
growing up, it was always Big Ten country. Like that was a big thing. Being up here, it's just like, well, we have Rutgers, and if you want to, you could cheer for Penn State. It was like
So
that's
bizarre.
it. That's all you got.
It really is strange. Yeah, because I'd be driving at night in Texas and you see a light in the distance, and that was for high school. That was a stadium for like Friday Night Lights. It was exactly like that. But so when you got drafted, what did that feel like too? Because I've never talked to anybody that's been drafted for any sport. What was that? What were those emotions that you felt?
It was just kind of relief that it happened. I was obviously super excited and really pumped for the opportunity to be in the NFL. But there's so much leading up to it. You go through your senior season or junior season for some, and you get towards the end of it, and as soon as you're done playing, everything goes straight to all right, draft prep.
Gotcha.
And it's like, how do we get to the draft? And so usually that starts in January, and the draft is until the end of April. So for solid 4 months, all you're eating, thinking, drinking, draft. So for it to finally happen and to get picked was pretty cool because there was a lot that went into it. But then the saying always went, it's great to get drafted, but it's what you do after that. And
True.
so you got to put your head down and get to work. But it was definitely a surreal moment hearing my name called.
Yeah, that must have been. It's true. You probably were like when you're so focused on something. Because I was curious as to what it was like after you retired, because it's such a focus of your life, and then it must feel like a month out, 2 months out. That must feel odd too, to not be going into training camp.
Yeah, it definitely was difficult coming out, finishing, and then as I was kind of toying with, was I still going to be able to play, or what was going to happen. I always thought that I'd have that moment of like, oh, I miss it. Like, all right, this is mandatory mini camp. I'm going to miss that, or when training camp
Yeah.
opened, or opening day, and that never came. So that felt pretty good. That I knew that I could close that chapter and start a new one.
You've always been a center, right?
Yeah, since seventh grade.
What is that like in the NFL being a center? Because being all the other offensive line positions, you're staring at the player coming at you. Your head, like, it's a different. Was it just natural because you've been doing it for so long? I just think it's an intense position that people don't think about, I think.
Yeah, no, it definitely is, and I think that's kind of one of the things that drew. When I first started playing it, back in seventh grade, the only reason I got the position was because the center had broken his hand and couldn't snap anymore. And they said, "Does anyone want to know how to snap?" And I said, "Well, I guess I'll try."
That's funny.
So I kind of fell into it a little backwards, but then I fell in love with the position. There's so much going on. There is the physical side of it. But there's also the mental side of it. You're kind of like the quarterback for the offensive line.
For sure.
And so that was something that I really enjoyed because I love the chess match that comes in with football. And so then to add my own little layer to it where I get to change things or fix things, it was pretty special.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm sure we could talk about that specific thing for an hour because it is like a chess match. Well, and so were you making barbecue sauces while you were at the Jets? Like, was that something? I think I was reading that it was an inspiration. You were grilling and cooking.
It kind of all falls back to when I started helping out in the kitchen about 10 years ago when my first child was born, just because I wanted to try to help out a little bit. And I didn't really want to do anything hard, so I figured I would try doing the cooking. And so, I kind of ramped up from there. And then my wife at one point got me a Big Green Egg
Cool.
for Father's Day, and I enjoyed it, but I didn't really understand it. What I could do with it until we had an assistant offensive line coach come in who is a certified barbecue judge in Montana, and so Ron Heller is his name, and he kind of took me by the hand and said, all right, here's what you need to do. Here's how to go about it. And so he came over. The first thing we did was a full brisket. And he did we did the injection. He came over the night before. We injected it. We trimmed it. He came over in the morning, bright and early. We got the thing going. And going through that process, I was hooked.
Yeah.
And from there, it kind of took off. And then after a little bit, I was like, you know what? I'm tired of buying sauces in the store. I think I can actually do something better. And so I started working on my own and finally came up with one that I liked and that my wife liked. And so we'd use it for anytime we were having a barbecue or anytime we were with people. I'd have like my little quart jug of it sitting there, and it was something that I enjoyed doing. Never really thought about selling it when I first started doing it.
And it was the same sauce you got to a certain point where you were making that same sauce every single time.
Yeah, luckily I was smart enough to actually, because I do a lot of different cooking and I never write anything down. And so when I try to recreate it,
yeah.
it really works. But this one, I was so kind of hell bent on making my own and making it good that I wrote everything down.
Smart.
And through all the iterations and everything, finally came up with the final one. And so that was my recipe. And it's been the same for, it's been about 6 years now.
Oh, wow.
Of making the same thing just over and over, just make a big old batch, use it up, and then make another one down the road.
At what point when you transitioned to a civilian life, essentially, is that when, I guess, I don't even know what you would call it, is that when you thought, or did friends were telling you should probably sell this? Is that how it kind of came about to bottle it?
It was kind of just like a weird transition because I was talking with my partner in the sauce, and we were talking, well, what do you want to do after football? What do you want to do? And I was like, I don't know. I deal with these kids, I guess. And he was like, all right, well, why don't you think about it? So I was thinking about it, and it kind of hit me that I was like, you know what? I was an entertainer for 11 years. And I've never made anything. And so I went back to him. I was like, I've never made anything. Like, it'd be pretty cool to make something.
Yeah.
He's like, all right, what do you want to make? And I was like, I don't know. I have no idea. He goes, all right, well, do you make anything already? I was like, no. And he goes, well, what about that barbecue sauce that, you had a year ago? And I was like, oh yeah, that's mine. I made it. He goes, yeah, it's kind of where you might want to go if you like barbecue and you've already made something. Let's go with that. And so I was like, oh, that makes sense. And so that's kind of where it started. And then, we learned a lot in the process too. Barbecue sauce it's crazy how much goes into, because you walk down the grocery store and you see the whole shelves with all the bottles and everything, and the amount of effort and thought that goes into each individual bottle sauce is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, and it's surprising. I think people just think that it just appears, and it's not. There's years and years, and now would you call this your OG sauce?
The first one is the OG sauce. Everything's under the Mangold 74 BBQ label.
Okay.
And the first one's the OG, which is named after my first child, the original. He's just it's the one that I came up with first, and then we thought at the same time, like, all right, we can't just put one out. We need to be able to put out two. Yeah. So we had a spicy version of the original, which kind of, they're very similar, but they're also different, which is like my two sons. They're very similar, but they're also pretty different. And so it just kind of flowed there. And then we have two more lined up. If we can figure out how we're doing on the distribution of it, hopefully we can put two more out for my two daughters, which would be pretty cool. One's already done.
Like an apple cider vinegar one, or like a?
It will be that one is already done. So it's my fourth child is my second daughter, and she was born in the fall. And so when I'm creating all these sauces,
that's so great.
I was like, oh, you know what? I have the original. I'm gonna have some sort of like honey barbecue sauce for my first daughter. I have the spicy for my second son, because he's the firecracker version of my first son.
That's so funny.
And then I was working on the fourth one. I was like, I don't know, she's a baby. I mean, she's now 2. When we first started this project, she was 6 months, and so I was like, I don't know what she's into. I don't know her personality or anything. And so I was like, well, she was born in the fall. So let's do a vinegar style sauce, but make it apple cider vinegar exclusively. So that way it has her fall side of life in it. And so that's where she comes in.
See, and that's cool too, because you have a story. And I think people connect with stories in general, and I love stories. And that's That's super. That's a great idea. Now with the first sauce, can you describe what that first sauce? Because I haven't had a chance to try it, and I'm hoping to try it soon. And I want to talk about all the different ways people can get this sauce. But how can you describe that first sauce?
So we describe it on the label as it's sweet with a little heat. It's a sauce, and everyone asks too, like, well, what style is it? You know, is it Texas style? Is it Carolina? Is it Memphis? You know, what kind of barbecue style is it? And honestly, for me, I wasn't going with a style. I was going with just something that tastes good.
Yeah.
And so I don't think it matches up with any style of barbecue sauce that anyone's ever tried. But it's still, like, when you try it, you're like, well, this is a barbecue sauce. So it kind of has its own unique style to it. I got made fun of. I was talking to some guys from Texas, and I said, well, you know, it's its own unique style. So I'm going to call it, you know, New Jersey style barbecue. And they go, please don't use that. If you're talking to guys from Texas, please don't say that. That will not sell any sauce down here in Texas. So, but it's very unique. But the minute you taste it, you know it's barbecue.
And what do you use it mostly on? Like, what's your favorite thing to put it on?
Well, if you ask my next door neighbor, who kind of is one of my taste testers when I'm coming up with goofy stuff, he says he puts it on everything, even down to spaghetti noodles. But my favorite is pulled pork. You know, I love doing a pork butt, and you know, with that, I love doing a pulled pork sandwich. So I do that. I do the pulled pork, and then I drizzle a little sauce on there for the sandwich, and it's my absolute favorite thing to go on.
You know what I also like is there's a place over here that has pulled pork, and I like to dip my French fries in the sauce. I love, like, it's when there's a good sauce, like even soaking bread in it, like it rolls and stuff. It's so that's I can't wait to try it. Now, what are you cooking on now at your house?
Right now, we did grilled chicken. So we had it with grilled chicken last night. And even to the fact that, you know, my wife was like, well, you know, I don't want barbecue chicken. I just want grilled chicken. I was like, all right, that's fine. And so I just grilled up chicken, nothing fancy. And she goes, I don't know. I kind of want barbecue sauce on it. So she went and she got herself a little side, and she was dipping her chicken in the barbecue sauce. So, you know, it's interesting to see, you know, the different ways that people like to use it, just in our household. You know, the amount of times because I mean, we always have, you know, 2 bottles going in the fridge. And so it's interesting, no matter what we're serving to someone that comes over, like, you got any sauce that can go with this? I was like, yeah, sure. Have at it, man.
Or are you cooking? Do you have an offset cooker at all, or or a Traeger, or are you cooking any kind of? Or are you just grilling mostly these days?
No, I'm a big green egg guy, so I use the big green egg. I also have a gas grill. I'd love to get a sidebox smoker at some point. My wife says that I have too many toys as it is, and she goes, "You don't have anywhere to put it." I was like, "I'll find a spot."
It'll be fun. It'll be fun.
No, it definitely be fun. We did. I have used one. We actually rented one from our local butcher to do a massive barbecue for the offensive line one year, and it was a neat process, being able to kind of control the fire on the side and have the big opening and everything. It was pretty neat.
Yeah. It's a whole dance. It's a whole process. It's like almost a Zen thing. And I talk to people that they'll have a busy job. I talked to a guy who has a restaurant in Kansas City, and he cooks barbecue 1 day a week for his restaurant. And it's like a Zen thing for him. It's a way to get away for 14 hours or just get out of his head for.
Yeah, just disappear from the chaos that is my house.
Exactly. Where can we get this?
So right now, we're online, which is awesome. You can find us on Amazon.com, which I don't think you say .com anymore. I think it's just Amazon. And if you go to our website, the 74bbq.com, it'll direct you over there to it. And then we're locally right now in New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut. We're trying to get national. Best we can do right now is online.
Okay. But
we're still grinding it out. You know, we had our first run of production come off the line and ready to go on March 23, 2020. Oh, wow. And so that was a tough time.
Interesting, right at that moment.
Right at that moment, that was when it came out. And so it's been tough, kind of getting the word out that, you know, I have a sauce, because we aren't able to do like tailgates. You know, we had this whole plan. We had a huge planning meeting in the city back in February of 2020, and we had it mapped out. We're like, all right, we got the draft coming up. We're going to take the sauce there.
Oh, it's
We're going
perfect.
to do some sort of little tasting, tent, set up a tent and just, tasting there. We're going to, training camps. We might dabble a couple of different training camps and just set up a tent
Yeah.
outside with the fans. We had a whole thing with the Jets, doing tailgates there, hopefully getting into the stadium, working on that. Maybe making it a feature of one of the restaurants
Yeah.
there. So we had this whole planning meeting, and then everything got locked down. So
So.
the best we've been able to do is virtual things like this,
Hmm.
and then just trying to keep pumping and getting the word out. And so we're slowly getting distribution. So we have local places, like I said, in Jersey, New York, Connecticut, but we don't have that massive following yet to be able to get it out nationally in brick and mortar stores.
Yeah, well, I'll help get the word out, and also too, I think if people want it, they should ask their local store. And I think if enough people start asking it, it becomes a thing. And I'll order it online and get some, and that way I'll feature it. And I have I have a unique following as well. Like it's grilling as well as people like barbecue heads, like people that are really into barbecue joints and the purists and also the KCBS people. So I'll do my best to spread the word. And
Well, I appreciate it.
yeah, no, it's a cool thing. It's a cool endeavor, and it sucks that it halted right where like that was the momentum. That was you had the plan, and then
What we like to look at it is more of our kind of a cold opening.
true.
We used this past year as a cold opening, and now we're trying to ramp up, getting ready for grilling season. We've had the good fortune of being able to push enough that we had to find a new manufacturer. So that's kind of slowed us down a little bit.
Okay.
Right now we're still grinding through, and we still have plenty of supply, but finding a new manufacturer, come to find out, is also difficult.
Makes sense.
And
Yeah.
so, it's just been a crazy process, from when we started in the spring of 2019 to where we are now. We've learned a lot, and I've had a lot of fun selling it. It's been pretty neat. I was able to, one of the grocery store chains here is called Stu Leonard's. And I was able to take my youngest, my 2-year-old. She went with me for my pitch when I was
Perfect.
pitching the sauce, and so it was pretty neat. We got a picture outside of
That's
Stu
fun.
Leonard's. Both of us just kind of masked up, ready to go, and it was a neat experience, and it was cool that I got to share it, with one of my kids just on a cold, rainy day in October. So it's been fun, and it's been a great passion project. And I want to keep it growing.
Yeah, and maybe like I believe that things happen for a reason, and like you had said, it kind of gave you a chance to do a cold opening and kind of assess things and find a new manufacturer and do all that before it blows up. So that's a good thing. Like hopefully you'll have everything in place for a massive distribution.
Yeah, we've actually already had to go through a logo redesign because of trademark issues when we were getting on Amazon. So there's going to be, unless you're a diehard fan, you're not going to notice it. But it will make some of the bottles collector's items of the original logo. So we've already gone through one manufacturer, one logo change, in just a short year. But it's kind of nice getting these kinks out.
That's cool.
Now, so that way we're ready to go when things really ramp back up.
Are the original bottles available still, or are those all already sold?
The ones that we're still selling right now, which you can get online, or still have the original logo.
Okay, cool. I'll tell people that's a cool thing.
New ones coming out will have the new logo, but those are just getting close to running for production. So
Okay.
you have a little bit of time to get the last originals.
Okay, I'm ordering after we talk. That's I want to get that. That's cool. Well, is there anything else about the sauces or anything else about you that you want people to know about?
Yeah, I think the last part of the sauce, I kind of went through the whole family dynamic and the passion project for me, but the last little dynamic of it is a charitable component.
Oh yeah.
And we teamed up with Answer the Call, so that a portion of each bottle sold, the proceeds there will go to Answer the Call. It's a fantastic charity that helps out the families of fallen first responders in New York City.
Wow.
With the NYPD, FDNY, Port Authority, all the people that go to work to try to keep us safe and help us out. If they unfortunately pass while they're on the job, This charity does fantastic work and support families. And so I've been with them 7 or 8 years now, just lending my ugly mug as best I could and doing different events for them. But now this gives me an opportunity to kind of keep a money flow going. So the more sauce I sell, the more money I can give. And so that adds a little bit of extra passion to try to get sauce moving, just so we can help out more families and help them out in bigger ways.
And it keeps their name on people's mind. That's important. That it's
Back.
a constant thing. Oh, that's so great. I had read about that, but I had forgotten to mention that. So thank you for bringing that up. That's very, very important. Well, thank you, Nick, so much for taking the time and for all your years of entertaining, like as an entertainer. And thank you for answering a few questions about your past life, because I think a lot of people that listen to this probably have never met somebody that was in the NFL or NBA or anything. So it's cool that at least they got a chance to sit down with you for almost half an hour and hear your story and hear about your passion project. I'm really excited. I hope it continues to grow, and I hope you get a chance to do some of those tailgating events soon.
I can't wait. I think we will. I think we're hopefully coming out of this fog that has been the past year. And when we're able to do it, I think we're going to do it up big, which should be a lot of fun.
And people will be so enthused to be out amongst people. Like, imagine, I just keep thinking about the concerts and the events and festivals and sporting events. Like, people are going to be so excited to be amongst other people without masks on.
I know.
Or semi-masks.
That's one of the things I love about barbecue, is that, it's such a community thing where, you get together with friends and family and you share a meal. And not having been able to do that for the past year, I think when we do get to break out, the tailgates and the barbecue are going to be pretty awesome.
Take care. I'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Have a good one. Thanks.
Bye.